Julie Manchester covered politics for The Hill and joins us now. The border is no longer a border state issue. It is a national issue. How worried are Democrats nationally that June, July, August crisis at the border will just be another problem for them in the midterms?
Well, they're very worried, Leland, and I think that shows with senators like Mark Kelly and Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire, two moderate Democratic senators who are facing relatively tough re-election bids. They are very much trying to sound the alarm by teaming up with these Republican senators. I think the problem that Republicans and these moderate Democrats have with this, the way this has been going with Title 42, is that there is no plan at this point to replace Title 42. So this amendment would essentially force the Biden administration to declare the COVID-19 pandemic emergency over, and then there would be a timeline to eventually, present a plan that would be in place of Title 42 in that timeline. But, it's not just these two senators, Leland, or other senators. This is also an issue in House races as well. During 2020, we know that President Trump lost the election, but he actually made gains in border areas like in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. And you see Democratic congressmen like Henry Cuellar, Vicente Gonzalez, also facing tough re-election bids, signing on with some Republican views on this, saying there needs to be some sort of plan in place. So it's a difficult issue for them politically.
Yeah, nothing gets to the Senate floor without Chuck Schumer and Democratic leadership shepherding it through. We know Chuck Schumer's always worried about the progressive left in New York, especially a primary challenge from AOC. She's complained that Democrats have not gone far enough to the left, something I know you have been talking about. AOC tells the New York Times in 2020, election takeaway, we learned that progressive candidates do not hurt candidates on firing up the progressive base. We need to acknowledge that this isn't just about middle of the road, an increasingly narrow band of independent voters. This is really about the collapse of support among young people, among the Democratic base who are feeling that they worked overtime to get this president elected, aren't necessarily being seen. Biden administration caved on student loan deferment payments extension, on the eviction moratorium extension, both caved progressives. Does Chuck Schumer, and for that matter, the White House, have the willingness to take on progressives and prevent this catastrophe at the border?
It's hard to say, and I know this is a cliche, but Chuck Schumer and the White House are walking a very fine line. Look, the
let me ask you this. Am I framing it correctly? You're in Washington and know this. Am I framing it that correctly?
Yeah, I think they're in a difficult position. I don't know right now whether they have the willingness. We'll have to wait and see what happens between now and November. I think there are a number of other issues that are playing into this, and I'd be curious to see what House Democrats are saying about this as well, because we know that House Republicans have been messaging on this border issue as well, but they're in a very difficult spot. This Biden coalition, it's, not only made up of these young progressives, it's also made up of moderate voters. Moderate voters, are made up of Black Democrats, for example, older Democrats. It's this very diverse coalition. And right now, this is just another example, like you were alluding to earlier with some of those other issues like student loan forgiveness and such, where Biden and Senate Democrats and House Democrats, for that matter, are very much trying to keep that coalition together. It's definitely a challenge. I don't know what direction they're going to go in, but it seems like right now they're trying to throw progressives a bone with repealing Title 42.
Yeah, you just hope it's not a poison bone in a sense, especially for the 450,000 people who come across and then will be perhaps in a really difficult situation once they get to the United States. Hey, Julie, great conversation. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.